Hello and welcome to the Raptor Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Wayne Malou. As a reminder, we are now streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel Monday to Friday between 2 and 3 p.m. And for the YouTube audience watching, hello. We are both in the studio, me and my producer and co-host, Alex Wong. Alex, man, where have you been for the past 48 hours? People have been asking. The streets have been they want to know. They want to know what's going on with the rapper recession.
Yeah, we know 48% of the audience is Team Alex, and the rest is Team Lou. I've been spending the last 2 days just putting out some fires. You know what I'm saying? I went to
You have been, yeah, actually.
I went to Marathon Cafe in Markham. I don't know if you've ever been. They've got award-winning milk tea. Like, there's actually championship banners hanging at the place because they won best milk tea for like 4 years running.
So who decides on who decides on that?
I actually don't know. I think it's just the Asian community.
Okay.
You caught me off guard with that one, but great award-winning milk tea, the pineapple bun with a slab of butter.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just doing a meetup with my boy Kai. Got some Christmas shopping done. 2 gift cards for my parents, Golf Town.
Wow, so personal.
Each, very personal. Derek for Secret Santa coming up next. Already know what I'm getting him. Okay. And I'm working on a birthday gift for you, surprise.
Wow. All right.
So that's about it, man. No, I've been watching the Raptors.
Yeah, you were there live last night. I was not.
Yeah, you were not for complicated reasons. The Raptors, 110-109 loss, 11-14 on the season. The dream of reaching 500 this week is officially done.
Yeah.
By the way, actually, before we move on, so the Raptors did announce they canceled practice today.
Yep.
Because of health and safety protocols. And, the Raptors PR team said the decision was made out of an abundance of caution and further updates will be provided when necessary. The Pacers also did the same thing, and it was just announced that Rick Carlisle, their head coach, has gone into health and safety protocols. Derek Jones Jr. of the Bulls is now the 5th player, I believe, on that team, alongside DeMar DeRozan, Matt Thomas, and a few others to be in health and safety protocols. So the Knicks played the Pacers last night, and the Knicks are in town tomorrow. So I guess we'll just keep monitoring this. I think it's just a precautionary thing right now, but obviously with COVID, everything is, developing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's just kind of a natural circumstance of a lot of the restrictions sort of loosening. Not in the same sense that like the rules are specifically changed, but I think in terms of like how players are approaching it, or just when you're watching the game, or even if you're just in the arena, like I think just as a society, like they go through phases of like they feel really mindful of participating in their practices, and then sometimes they ease up. And I feel like sometimes for the players, like, I mean, you see videos all the time of them just like in a crowd, no mask, no one's masked. And, look, at this point, most of the players are vaccinated. So hopefully nobody is getting the worst of the symptoms. But at the same time, like that does not, keep you from being infected at some points. And, you just got to be careful. And because, look, this is one of the things when you're playing through a pandemic, it's just like last season when they were in Tampa, was like the Raptors. I mean, by the way, this is shaping up a lot like the Tampa Raptors season.
We'll get to that.
Okay, 2-8 start of the season, 2-8 at home to start the season in Toronto. But the Raptors finally did get out to 500, and then you remember what happened. Like
half the team was ravaged.
Yeah,
the
coaching staff was ravaged.
Chris Finch fled to Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
I still remember the lasting image for me in Tampa was when Tony Snell hit the game-winning shot. This was, I think, coming out of the All-Star break, and it was in Tampa, and there's a photo of just Norm standing right at the basket right when the shot hit, and he just put his head down because the Raptors only had 6 players.
Which it was, Kyle and Norm were the number 1 and 2 options. They had to score roughly, if my calculations are correct, 70 points per game.
Yeah, just to lose by 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was that stretch where they lost to Detroit, they lost to Atlanta at the buzzer, a number of other just painful losses. And I'm not saying that like this will happen again. I'm sure the Raptors will take more precautions this time around, or what. I mean, look, you can also take a lot of precautions, and sometimes things will just happen. But at the same time, it's tough, and you really just have to keep your fingers crossed that your team isn't too badly affected by COVID, because you're seeing it across sports, man. You're seeing like there's a Europa League game that's been, and I'm sure you're a big fan of the Europa League, watching Tottenham versus I'm not sure whoever, but like Tottenham, for example, they lost like 10 players. They had like 10 senior players available.
Wow, they're playing 11-on-1. What's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, it's happening across sports. So when you have to remember that obviously you're still playing through a pandemic, and I love the phrase "abundance of caution."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really one of those pandemic phrases that have been invented. No one has really talked about that.
Yeah,
Just
this
like
me.
health and safety protocols wasn't a real thing, but now it
Yeah.
is a thing, and it's part of the lexicon. And
Yeah, this is me on the DoorDash app. You know, I try to approach with an abundance of caution.
nah, you
You,
don't.
you never want to hit the checkout screen and be like, whoa, $130 worth of pasta?
Yeah,
What's
well,
going on here? Anyways,
that's wow. The ads are really true, huh?
yeah, so, you know, yeah, we're not living in a normal society. It's normal-ish. But you know what's normal? The Raptors being a disappointment at
Oh,
Scotiabank
come
Arena
on.
with the loss last night against the OKC Thunder, a team that's not actively trying to win, a team that lost by 73 points last week, a team that was trailing by 10 to the Toronto Raptors at halftime. My mom texted me in the first quarter, said this is an easy win. She said salami and cheese, and I respect my mom's opinion a lot. She's been watching basketball since before you were born.
I was gonna say the salami and cheese is a great pull.
Yeah, so no Kem, no OG. They're both out for the foreseeable future. No Precious last night because of right shoulder tendonitis, but no excuses against the OKC Thunder. I thought
That's correct.
because you do the 3 stars after every game.
Yep.
After a loss now, and because I feel like we might be talking about a lot of losses this season, sometimes we might got to pull out Alex's anti 3 stars.
Yeah. By the way, this is like a Freaky Friday situation. I guess Freaky Thursday, which is you have now just become me in the role of just being negative.
Yeah, some people do
And-
think I'm you. Yeah, shouts to that guy on Twitter today.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
He's like, why aren't you tweeting about Chris Boucher's good performance? I'm like, I never tweet about Chris.
Wasn't that good?
'Cause I know.
By the way, I was watching the tape. Wasn't that good? Anyway.
Yeah, anyways.
But anyway, so you're gonna be the more negative guy, and I'm gonna have to come through with 16 bars apparently.
Yeah.
If we're officially changing rules.
Bars. So, not really negative. I would say realistic.
You said the anti 3 stars. How's that not negative?
So let's recap the game with these anti 3 stars.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
I'm gonna start with the number 1 star. The number 1 star, the third quarter. So the Raptors were up by 10 at the half. They give up a 25-3 run at one point to the Thunder.
Yep.
In the third quarter, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, another great homecoming, 16 of his 24 points in that quarter. In aggregate, the Thunder beat the Raptors in the third 33-12.
Mm-hmm.
More stats. The Raptors shot 5 for 27 from the field during those 12 minutes, 1 for 10 from 3. A 10-point lead turned into an 11-point deficit. Here's what I'm saying, man. As long as the Raptors are not a serious team, and they're not a serious team right now, unless they get back to 500, I'm going to talk about them as a rebuilding team. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to talk about them as a team that's going any places, at least this season. And that's okay because it's a development season. I get that. But we need to be realistic. They're like, what, 2 games better than the OKC Thunder in the loss column?
Yeah.
So, actually, it was 2 rebuilding teams battling each other last night. And the Thunder won because they had a great third quarter. And we will definitely get to the end of game sequence. But, I mean, I don't know. What were you thinking watching that third quarter?
It was obviously very frustrating watching it just, on TV at home. And then this morning, when I finally came to the office, my bad, you were here before me. But when you came over to my desk, and our desks are beside each other, you saw me shaking my head at the computer monitor. And the reason I was doing that was because I was going through the tape of the third quarter, both watching the Raptors' attempts and then watching the Thunder's attempts, right? What stood out to me from the Raptors' attempts, and obviously the offense was a bigger problem, although, to be honest, both things were problems, right? You don't want to give up 33 points in the quarter, especially because Shai was carving them apart. But the bigger issue to me is some of the shots it took on offense. Chris Boucher took 5 of the first, he took 5 shots in the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, or of the third quarter. It felt like they went away from what they were doing really well in the first half, which was let's feature Pascal in the mid-post area. Let's get him cook, just his assignment. If he draws a second defender, he's kicking it out. He had 5 assists last night. Like, that was working really well. Gary was making a lot of shots. And just in general, the Raptors are getting to the rim. I actually felt like the Raptors offensively in the first half got whatever they wanted. In the third quarter, it was a lot of pick and roll between Fred and Chris Boucher. And normally when you run a pick and roll like that, 2 guys are going to converge on Fred. Even on a night when he didn't really have it. Right? I thought Fred looked off from the start of the game. And, he did have a really hot spurt in the fourth quarter, but, he was off. But even in a game when he's off, the defense is going to start to converge on Fred. And so the onus there is you're basically almost featuring Chris Boucher in that sense. And I thought Chris had a, pretty productive game based on sort of the standard that he's shown this season. But under no circumstances should he be taking 5 shots in the 7 minutes there, right? And a lot of those sequences where 2 guys go to Fred and Fred finds Chris on the roll and stuff like that, he was coming up empty on layups. Now, some of those you might argue is fouls. I thought some of those were fouls. He was definitely screaming a lot in the broadcast. I don't know if you can hear it in the arena, but it's a very sharp squeal. Okay. Between him and Pascal, it honestly sounds like a petting zoo in there. But, when you're going out for the layups and some of these shots, you just have to convert. I'm sorry, but you just do, right? I mean, like, did you know who the Thunder started at center last night?
No.
Me neither. He was wearing number 50.
Was it Derek Favors? Because
No,
I didn't know Derek Favors was on the Thunder.
No, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Because I was listening to the Weekend episode.
Oh, he was on Who He Played For.
He was on Who He Played For.
I forgot already. Yeah. Yeah.
How?
I might forget Mike Muscala after we get through this segment.
No, he's been there for a while too.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Thunder started last night. Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
That's right, the 3-name guy. Yeah,
you know him, right? Number 50.
I remember the 3-name guy.
So I don't know who that is. A lot of people don't know who that is. No offense to the guy, really isn't. No offense, but like I'm just saying, like that. It's not like they were starting like some sort of like dominant center.
You didn't
matchup.
have Joel Embiid in the paint.
So I'm expecting Chris to finish some of these layups and lobs, right? And now the thing is, for Chris, at least he was showing a lot of effort in terms of he was getting offensive rebounds. He wasn't really converting, but, some of those things were okay. The thing is, when the Raptors really start to get cold, when you looked at some of those shots, that, when I was watching it back, was really a case of just guys missing wide open shots. And the offense was, for the most part, for the Thunder, they were taking away the paint. They did a much better job of doubling Pascal, which was Pascal was hurting them in the first half. And then they started shrinking the floor, and that led to a lot of open jumpers. Gary Trent Jr. got a wide open jumper. Fred VanVleet got a wide open transition jumper. Yuta Watanabe got 2 wide open jumpers. Delano Banton got a wide open jumper. Scotty got a wide open jumper. Out of all that, they only had one guy who made a shot, and it was Scotty from the corner. And that was the 3 points during the 25-3 run. But other than that, there was a lot of bad shot making from the Raptors. And I'm not trying to say that, look, this is just one of those things where it's a make or miss league or whatever. But I when watching back the film, I was not as upset about that part of their offense. Sometimes they're just going to end up missing some shots. I think ultimately you play that game, back 100 times, you probably win 80% of the time. But sometimes you do, draw out on the river, so to speak, right? And
we're gonna, at the end of the season, we're gonna go through all 82 games.
Yeah.
And describe every Raptors game as a poker scenario.
I'm totally
3-hour show.
We don't even have to go to the end of the season.
Kipper and Bourne will be preempt that day.
What are we doing tomorrow, man?
Maybe Stephen Brunn and Ben Ennis will be preempted as well. We're going to do a 6-hour show.
No, that's fine, man. We have the World Series of Poker, but just with Raptors games. Like the offense to me wasn't as big of an issue, even though that was the part obviously where they came up empty. Defensively, though, watching back on the film, there were a lot of missed rotations, miscommunications. And I'm talking about Delano Banton overhelping 2 or 3 times, leading to wide open threes. I'm talking about Scotty Barnes miscommunicating on switches. I'm talking about Gary Trent Jr. lagging a little bit too long in the paint and not getting out to the perimeter. I'm talking about Pascal Siakam occasionally letting people drive by him. There was a lot of, I'm not even sure if this was a strategy. It must have been a strategy because everyone was doing it. But just pressing up so high on the guards up top, especially Shea, that you're just encouraging him to go into the paint and then almost putting yourself in rotation on purpose, which does make sense in the sense that you would prefer him to drive into a crowd and then potentially turn it over. But when you show him the same look over and over again and you're not rotating well behind him, all you're really inviting him to do is carve you apart. And that's exactly what Shea did in the third quarter. To be honest, I had more of an issue with the defense in the third quarter than I had with the offense. Offensively, they just missed some shots that they really could have made. Towards the end, Fred took 2 bad shots in that stretch trying to will them back to life. But defensively, though, they got to watch back through the film. I guess they couldn't do so in practice because practice was canceled. But if they had gone to practice, I'm sure Nick could have pulled up the entire sequence of the third quarter, just like I watched, and grilled them.
Oh, Nick's on a Zoom call with them right now.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, how many players do you think are camera on, camera off kind of guys?
I think Scotty's the only one with the camera on.
Nah, Yuta. Come on. Yuta's a teacher's pet. He's got a hand up.
Plus, Utah's a good-looking dude, man. You gotta show his face.
Okay.
Otherwise, Utah's showing up with a headband on.
This is the
headband
most
and jersey
friendly program.
Most Utah-friendly program. Most Asian reference friendly.
In 19 minutes.
Oh, I was gonna mention.
Yeah.
So the Utah Watanabe theory that I have is every game, if you add up his points and rebounds, it usually lands right at 6. We hit it on the head last night. 4 points and 2 rebounds.
Oh, my God.
So he's pocket threes, man.
Oh,
He's
my
pocket threes. You can
God.
spread it any way, but it's always pocket threes. So Utah Watanabe, 19 points, 4 points, 19 minutes, 19
Yeah,
minutes, 4
19
points, 2
is
rebounds,
his
1
total
for
the season.
4 from the field. They were all from 3. Here's the thing. Everything that you said is true about that third quarter, and I think everything that you said about that third quarter reflects what this Raptors team is. They're a young, inconsistent team, and they're dealing with a bunch of injuries.
Yeah.
But we got to be able to speak about those two things separately because we can't always say they're missing guys. Yes, they're missing guys, but if you're not beating the Detroit Pistons at home, instead you're giving up 127 points to them.
Yeah.
And if you're blowing a double-digit second-half lead going into the second half against the OKC Thunder, then you are who you are, you know? Like you are 11-14 and you're out of the playoff race. And I don't want to hear about they're 2-3 games out of a top 6 spot. They're going to be 2-3 games out for the whole season playing this way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Until you learn to be consistent in life, you're just going to continue to struggle. The Raptors are kind of remind me of like when I was a student, in middle school and stuff. I just
Dark times.
really didn't care as much, mostly
Dark
trying to just
days.
rely on just like talent. And so the ultimate result was like I got like 70s and stuff all
What
the
were
time.
you listening to back then? I'm curious about your music selection
So-
during the dark days.
Yeah, so during that, wait, the dark days in university or the dark days in middle school?
Oh, more dark days. Let's go middle school.
Okay, middle school. So at that time, as you remember, the iPod Shuffle came out, but it was basically a USB stick.
Yeah, that's when I finally ditched my Walkman. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, wow, this is so convenient. It holds 50 songs. No, seriously, it had like literally probably 100 megabytes
Yeah.
in memory, and no screen at all. So you just had to guess.
Yeah.
They were like iPod Shuffle, and we mean it. Like you don't know what's gonna come.
You're
on.
saying it was a civilian device?
No, that was a top of the line device at that time. So I had an iPod Shuffle that had essentially, space for 30 some odd songs. And I think probably 8 of those were R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet. Do you remember the whole series?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, yeah. So
Maybe you just shouldn't have mentioned that. Anyways,
yeah.
wrong question. So Fred said after the game, quote, seems to be our pattern. Play well, play really bad, get yelled at, play hard, then do it all over again. It's disappointing, but it is what it is. He went on to say, quote, it's about winning ball games and doing things the right way, and we can't seem to sustain that long enough to win against teams we must think we're better than. But it doesn't work like that in the NBA because they were the better team tonight.
Yeah.
You got to go out there and compete. Look at the Houston Rockets. Didn't they lose like 15 in a row, and now they're on a 7-game win streak, right?
Yep.
On any given night, if you're playing a Houston, a Detroit, an OKC, if you take them lightly, you're going to lose. And the Raptors have already had those losses this season.
Yeah, two things. Number one, if for loyal listeners to the program, one Raptors reaction podcast when I was actually really mad was like maybe the Boston game when they lost. Remember the Detroit game? And I think I said on the show very loudly from my,
It
office.
was definitely very loudly, yeah.
Yeah, from my office, I said very loudly on terrestrial radio.
Still can't believe you have an office, by the way.
Some of you guys, some of the players on this team think they're nice, but they're not.
Yeah. That's
And
what I'm saying.
I might have to say that applies to everybody in this
This was
team.
me in 2008 when I went in my friend John Ing's basement and freestyled for 13 minutes. I thought I was nice.
It turns out you were, though.
I am pretty nice.
Yeah, actually. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing more of your
New bars
your
actually
work.
coming.
What?
New bars, yeah.
Today?
Yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see how we feel in the second segment.
We'll see how much
At
time
this
we
rate,
can fill.
at this rate, we might be 1/10 of a second, over the clock by the time we get to Justin Champagne.
I know you're pressed about the clock. Yeah, like that is something that I have seen from this team. To be honest, that describes the flow of the show. Like we end up yelling at this team half the time,
Yeah.
and the other half the time we end up saying how great they are. Like
We
and the
get
thing
so
is-
excited off 1-game win streaks because that's all they've been giving us.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, when you put it like that.
Yeah.
But the other thing is just, I'm sorry, but without due respect to some of the players, how many people on this team was undrafted? Like probably half.
Yeah, this
How
is
many guys are second round picks? How many guys are lottery picks?
I know. You
One.
always go back to this.
Scotty's the one lottery pick.
No, but you go back to this. When you get the opportunity, you got to take advantage of it.
Yes, but also when you realize that you're not like one of these stars, you just have to come in and know. Look, I'm not saying that every single guy has to play all out every single game. That's not realistic. But for this is the case for like 80% of the players on this team. You guys are hustle players.
Yeah.
Come out and hustle. When you're literally talking about the third stringers are pressing the playing, everybody has to come in and hustle. And that's what Nick was
Look
saying.
at how they played at the end, the last 5 minutes of the game last night. If you play that way for the entire second half, that's a 20-point win.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's an easy win. They were coasting to an easy win. It's not like the Thunder are trying that hard to win. I'm pretty sure their
No, I
coach
mean,
Mark Dagno is
he
itching.
looks. By the way, he looks like Steve from Blue's Clues. I was so confused
He,
when I saw him in a sweater on the sideline. I'm like,
he's
what are you doing?
itching to pull in the third unit if they're down 20 in the second half.
Every unit for them is like a fourth unit, man.
That's
The
what
whole
I'm
roster's a
saying.
fourth unit with Shea and Lou. And Shea and Lou were definitely very motivated
Shouts
to
to Lou
play.
Dort, man. My favorite Canadian player. I know Shea and Jamal Murray are probably, I mean, not probably, definitely more talented. But man, I love watching Lou Dort play, man.
Yeah, no, he's
Imagine
incredible,
Lou
man.
Dort and OG Anunoby together on the perimeter.
We'd have a very beefy team if that was the case. We
Also,
got Isaiah Stewart
also
in the
Sam
middle too. Then.
Presti, if you're gonna make this team lose by 73 points, I want you to rip up Lou Dort's contract and give the man a real salary.
Oh, he's actually on a civilian deal.
No, for real. Like if you and Lou Dort went to Ramanishan, you're paying.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
Although to be fair, if you and I went to Ramanishan, I'm still paying. So that's a
different dynamic. Anyways, my second anti-star.
We're only on the second start. It's
we're
only
getting
3 more minutes.
Justin.
in the half.
No. Justin Champagny will be in the second segment.
Okay,
So,
all right.
so second anti-star, a specific play in the fourth quarter. Svi Mihailuk with a turnover
God.
on a fast break. I mean, you can describe these things better than me. Let the listeners know which play I'm talking about.
Yeah, so the Raptors got to stop. It's a fall one fast break. Maybe you're off a turnover, probably off a turnover. And Svi's bringing the ball up from the wing, which usually you give the ball to the man in the middle, right? You usually feed the man in the middle to lead the fast break. You don't lead a lot of fast breaks from the wing. But whatever. He's bringing the ball up. He doesn't, like, I don't know if nobody told him or he just wasn't aware, but he just gets chased down by a man from behind.
You're not a serious team if you're making plays like that, trailing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you're not. And
Not
the
a
thing
serious
is,
team.
and that was a stretch there when there was no Lou, there was no Shea on the floor. You have to capitalize.
They lost those minutes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they did.
They lost those minutes.
Those in 6-4. It was struggle ball going both ways. And for Svi in particular, his whole job is to make shots.
Oh, I got a trivia question for you.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, man.
How many games this season do you think Svi has hit more than 2 3-pointers in a game?
So the Raptors probably, how many games they played? Like 25, 26?
Yep. More than 2 3-pointers. The answer is 0.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I went
my
on
God, no
NBA,
way.
I went on
No, I gotta double check this. Are you
ESPN.com/Svi
serious?
Mihailuk. Yep. He's hit 2 3-pointers in, I believe, 7 games this season. He's not hit more than 2 in any game this season. You can fact check this.
Wow.
You can fact check this.
I don't even need to, man. That's
So
an incredible stat.
His job is to hit shots, like you said. Last night,
His only job, by the way.
Yeah.
Only, not his job. His only job is to hit shots.
He a 3-and-3 player too. Last night he was 0 for 3 with 3 turnovers. So he the anti-pocket threes.
God.
So the whole bench scored 14 points, which is not even a season low because we know they've scored 13 before. And I know they've hit 15 against Indiana.
God.
And sure, they were missing a lot of their players. We already listed them up top.
Bro, these guys are professional basketball players. All they have to do all day long is to practice basketball. So if you only score 14 points, and I think the bench played something like 60 minutes last night.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Man.
So
I'm
that's
so sick. I'm really sick of the bench.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
so sick of
That's
some
my
of these guys.
That's my second anti star.
No, I'm literally turning. Every time I talk about the bench, I turn into my Asian dad, which is just like, take your chances in life. Like we didn't come to this country for you to do this.
You're making it about us now.
Yes, and for honestly, some of these guys.
I didn't sing the Canadian national anthem and get my citizenship to watch Justin Champagny try to bring the Raptors within 1 game of 500 in December of 2021.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. So you guys got to do better.
So in the
all.
fourth quarter, Nick Nurse goes with a slightly different lineup, which included Justin Champagny, who, correct me if I'm wrong, played the entire quarter.
Yes, he did.
And Nick was asked about this after the game, why Champagny was playing in the fourth. And he said, quote, I didn't like any of the other guys. The other guys were soft and unenergetic and not playing their role. End quote. I didn't see any lies there. And, the fourth quarter unfolded and there was a comeback. And maybe we'll just leave that as a cliffhanger. We can come back and talk about, break down the final 3 possessions of the game.
Yeah, that's really tough. All right, I think that's a good spot for us to take a break. I'm your host, Will Lou, and you're listening to The Raptor Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Welcome back to the Raptor Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, William Liu, and I continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. Alex, before we went to break, we promised to get to Champagne, so to speak. We put the Champagne on ice. So,
Ooh, boy.
your third anti-star, I guess, is Champagne.
No, my third anti-star is the clock, is time.
Wow.
In general. So the Raptors made a comeback in the last 5 minutes of the game. You mentioned Fred really struggled. He only had 5 points, was 1 of 8 from 3 heading into that final quarter. Finished with 19 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. And he was 4 for 5 from 3 in the fourth. Huge shots to get the Raptors back into it. So I want to go to the final 3 possessions of the game and get your thoughts on this. By the way, a personal apology to Justin Champagnie. I was sitting in media row in the fourth quarter yesterday with Joseph Cacharo of The Score, who will be joining us tomorrow. And I was so frustrated at the Raptors just blowing this game. And I was frustrated that Nick was playing Justin Champagnie because I was like, are there no better options? I guess in retrospect, there weren't better options.
Everybody available played except for Malachi.
Yeah. So, and I was like, man, only time I want to see Champagnie at Scotiabank Arena is at 11 a.m. against the Capital City Go-Go. He heard me. So with 18 seconds left, tie game, Champagnie with a strong finish at the basket to put the Raptors up 2. Any thoughts on that play?
I wasn't really sure where the play was going because it looked like Fred was just driving into traffic. And I think credit to Champagnie for realizing that his defender, Lou Dort, had turned his head. So there was an opportunity for him to creep along the baseline. Now, I think Fred thought Champagnie would stay in the corner. So that pass was actually behind him. But Champagnie actually made the smarter move, which was to cut along the baseline behind the defense, catch the ball behind them in one motion, midair, through some contact, finish, and get to the basket. That's actually, of the limited sample of what I've seen from Champagnie, that's actually something I think he does really well, which is just that he works the baseline. Usually the result is that he goes in for offensive rebounds, which I guess he technically did for the last play. Because he did get the rebound before he got the shot off. He should at least get the rebound for that. But, yeah, I mean, that's something that he does a decent job of. Obviously, you need to have the corner 3 as that, skill set as well. That's an essential part of it. But I just thought his defense overall in the fourth quarter was strong. Him playing essentially not center, but just having like a third forward on the floor to be able to rotate a little bit. I thought the Raptors did a better job defensively holding Shea in terms of just his drives in the paint. They did a better job of contesting those. And I thought Champagnie was pretty decent defensively, with the exception of the next play you're about to mention. So go ahead.
Yeah, and another apology to Champagnie. The whole fourth quarter, I was like, this guy's putting up a Tony Snell stat line, man.
Come on, man.
Playing 8 minutes,
Wait,
all
by the
zeros.
Way, Tony Snell last night, 13 minutes?
I saw that.
All
zeros across the board. This guy playing roulette. He got zeros, man.
Damn, wow.
So this is the most gambling friendly. This is the most gambling friendly program,
yeah.
I believe, in the world.
Yeah.
So the next play, so the Raptors are now up 2. So OKC's coming out of play. And I believe you were tweeting, you were like, man, they better double team Shea.
No, I thought they should put a long defender on Shea because I'm worried about the sidestep 3. That seems to be one of his go-to moves.
Yeah. So Shea drives to the basket. He's like essentially triple teamed, right?
Yes. So the issue is, they did put length on Shea. They put Scotty on Shea. Scotty presses up really high on him with his hands behind his back. So there's not an opportunity really to guide the defender. I'm not saying you should keep your hands out and reach or whatever. I think the Raptors are probably, you don't want to put him at the line either, obviously. But I'm not really sure when watching back on the play why Scotty approached him like this, like a penguin, essentially, with his hands behind his back, and just like went right up to him. And it's very easy for someone to blow by in that situation, right? Now, of course, you want to take away the 3, but that doesn't make sense to me, right? I think you should play him more straight up, at least not try to let him penetrate. And so he's able to get downhill. Pascal rotates over, right? Defense is actually solid at that point. Then the mistakes happen. Well, first off, actually, I thought Scotty's mistake he shouldn't have done what he did. So that was the first mistake. The second mistake, Pascal jumps. Look, Shea's a very crafty player. A little up fake. Obviously, you know that he's very long, so you can get the shot off easily. Jumping, it's not the worst thing to me. But when he jumps and then he fakes and then he pivots, there's an open shot for him on the left side of the floor. And that's when Champagnie creeps into the play to dig in and try to force him to pass. The issue with that is if you look at the screenshot, they're up 2 points. And there's 3 3-point shooters wide open. If it wasn't going to be Muscala, it was going to be Josh Giddey, who was also wide open for three, just slightly to his left. And it turns out it didn't need to because Muscala's a good three-point shooter.
Josh Giddey is the guy you kept calling Timothée Chalamet.
I mean, come on.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is kind of,
No, I see it. I see it. He's
decent
got that,
player, though.
He's got that heartthrob look. Yeah. Did you know Derek Favors on the Thunder? Anyway, so kicks out to Mike Muscala, who Magic Johnson once traded for when he was with the Lakers in LeBron's first season. That was his big trade deadline move, I think.
I would love if that's Masai's big trade deadline move, man.
Isn't that just Sam Decker? Anyway,
no, it's not.
So Muscala is like, this is why they brought me here. And he hit a three. He didn't say that, but that was what was running through my head.
You know what? I wish he did. I wish he did.
Muscala's like, yo, this is my house.
He did the Paul Pierce.
No, he said Dylan Brooks rented this after he shot 5 of 18. It's my house now. Muscala earns the Gerald Henderson Award with 6 points. The dagger three. So OKC's now up 1. I think there's about like 8, 9, 10 seconds left. Plenty of time left on the clock. So now the Raptors have a final possession.
Yep.
And the ball goes to Fred. Fred drives to the basket, puts up a prayer, I would say.
That's not even a prayer.
Yeah.
That's just like you just have to get something on the rim. Let's see if we can get an offensive rebound. Yeah, and they did get an offensive rebound.
So the ball goes up in air, like in the paint. Like it's nowhere near the basket.
No, even if the shot wasn't blocked, I don't think that was going in.
That was not going in at all. So then Champagny gets his hands on it.
Yes, after Baisley blocks it.
Yeah, and in the same motion, he tips it into the basket. And Scotiabank Arena goes nuts.
Mostly because Champagny celebrates.
Champagny runs to center court.
Yeah, all
says,
the players
this is why I'm here. Okay. This is my house. Yeah,
You were renting a Mike Muscala.
So he's like, Muscala, we're going to rip up your mortgage statement. This is my house now. Okay. Transfer of property. Scotty's super
very
excited.
Familiar with this process.
Yeah. I went through a couple of those anyways. Don't make any more of those jokes today. Nope. Anyway, so Justin Champagny runs to center court. I think Scotty's really excited. I think OG was really excited. Gary, like everybody is just celebrating.
OG with the hip pointer was jumping up and down.
Yeah, so he's out for the foreseeable future now.
Is that when Champagny got the shoulder?
Oh my god! Oh yeah,
tendinitis or whatever.
You didn't mention this. So what is this?
He's questionable for the next game.
All right, Malachi Flynn better get warmed up.
No, he's still not playing.
Malachi better get warmed up. So it goes to review, and obviously 1/10 of a second too late, robbing the Raptors of a thrilling victory, reminiscent of Scotty Barnes just barely missing the tip at the buzzer against the Cavs earlier this season, reminiscing of Jonas Valanciunas. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not go back to those days. So that's it. Raptors lose 11-14. New York
I was
Knicks
gonna say, why did you walk me through this?
Lose 11-14. New York
I was
Knicks.
gonna say, why did you walk me through this in excruciating detail again? I just did an hour long reacting podcast.
We always have to service the listeners.
Yeah,
and we have to get your second perspective on this the day after.
Look, for me, the question is going to be one that's ongoing all season. It's like, who do you give the last shot to? Because I think operating even in the last minute, even operating in the last like 2 minutes, it's a different process. Like I actually am pretty happy with giving it to Fred. Let's not be I don't know, ungrateful for it in the sense that we know what Fred has done in the clutch this season. He's come up clutch in so many fourth quarters. When I'm talking about a specific last shot scenario, though, that's a little bit different because I think for me, I want it in the hands of someone taller. You have to get a shot up in that situation. You saw that the Raptors gave the ball to Fred. He had, I think, Dort on him. Pascal came through with a little brush screen, forced a mismatch, got Shea on him. That's still not a mismatch. Shea is 6'6", and Fred is shorter than me.
No, this is the thing.
There's photographic evidence multiple times now of him being shorter than me. And I'm not saying that, whatever, Fred can't shoot or Fred can't do it. I love Fred. But
this is a Fred Van Fleet friendly
shot
program. Yeah, this is a very Fred Van Fleet friendly program. Yeah. But I get exactly what you're saying.
He's not the guy for me to initiate and shoot the ball in that situation.
Yep.
I prefer a taller player to do it. We saw OG get the last shot in that Cleveland game you mentioned. Yep. He didn't make the shot, but at least he was able to get the shot off.
I don't even mind Gary. I think Gary has a nice bag of tricks in a one-on-one situation.
I also don't mind Gary as well because he can get a shot off. Because especially if you're looking at the other team. So one thing also, too, is like let's say the other team's closing with 2 really small guards. Dort is pretty big in terms of, especially when you consider his wingspan. And then Shea's legitimately a big guard. So you have to get it to someone who can get a better shot off. Then what? You at least create a little bit of separation, and especially on a night where Fred, I thought, just didn't have the burst that he normally had. That didn't really make sense to me. Also, the play call is like as simple as it gets. Really, it's essentially an ISO with the screen to get a mismatch. That's the kind of play you run for Kawhi or LeBron, right? I would have expected with like 8.5 seconds left, maybe the execution could have been a little better.
They had a timeout left too. I wanted them to go early and give themselves 2 chances, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
Like,
Same. And it went a little bit too late. Obviously, again, if there was 0.1 seconds earlier and Champagne tips it in, the tone of the show today is totally different. I wouldn't be wearing a hood.
oh, we'd be looking at the standings, you know, 2
Yeah.
games back of Philly, all of that stuff.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we're not. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just didn't like the process of the last
fair.
shot. I thought Pascal honestly had it going. I understand not going to Pascal because obviously that was such a big thing from last year was him coming up short in crunch time. But at the same time, him, Gary, it's easier for us to say in retrospect. But I mean, when you look at the process of what the play they ran was, how difficult, the degree of difficulty on that Fred attempt, you got to consider maybe trying a different shot just for that specific last shot in the game. You have to get something up. Scenario. I would go with someone taller.
No, I'm with you. I think it's okay to have Fred as like the initiator, the decision maker on the play, but there's got to be kind of the different options that he's got to be looking for. But you know, sometimes
By the way, Gary Trent Jr. wide open on the right wing.
Yeah,
wide
but
open.
You can always run those plays back and see who's open and who's not, though.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if you're talking about letting him initiate and operate as the point guard, that is something where you look back at and you're like, why didn't he make that read?
No, that's fair.
And I'm not saying
they're on Zoom right now running through this play.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
With our commentary in the background.
And they're laughing at us.
I think Nick's going to reach a point where he's going to make them listen to an episode of this show.
I hope he does.
Because Nick's an avid listener, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, we're just going to spread lies. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We're just going to spread lies. The Lion King over here. No, shouts to Gary, actually. Like, especially with OG out, he's really done a great job being a huge contributor on the offensive end.
Yes,
like, he's filled a huge void. Like, last night, 39 minutes, 24 points. Pretty efficient. 10 of 17, made 4 3-pointers. I don't know. I guess at the start of the season, I was like, why did we trade away Norman Powell? You know, Raptors won this one.
I guess so, but, I mean, ultimately, you know.
And now you guys want to flip.
Now you want to beat OKC. I'm not going to brag about anything after.
I know. Now you want to flip Gary for Miles Turner or Domantas Sabonis? What's going on, man? I go away for 2 days and all you do is try to trade half the roster?
You know, look.
I don't think.
I wouldn't.
I don't think they're trading for either
on
of them.
paper. It would fit nicely, but at the same time, for me, I wouldn't do that trade right now either. It's just something I think would be equitable.
My thing is Masai never operates on other people's timelines. Like just because Indiana's having a fire sale doesn't mean.
What are we getting Miles Turner to do this year?
That's what I'm saying.
A play-in tournament?
I don't think they're gonna make these trades.
No, I don't think so either.
They're just gonna play it out.
But, I mean, look, if there's an opportunity to add somebody when you have the chance to do so, because you know the Raptors got to probably trade for a guy first before they sign him.
Yeah, you were talking about getting the bird rights to some of these players, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. Love talking about the bird rights. That's when you're not here, I got to talk about bird rights. Can't talk that with you.
Yeah, you can. I can tell you the origin story. It came from when Larry Bird had a contract anyways. Yeah. So, that's enough basketball for you?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get to the positives, man. Come on. What
positives? What positives do you want?
No, that's your job.
My job is to bring positivity.
You're Svi.
I'm Svi right now? Oh my God.
Your job is to bring in.
These comparisons are getting out of hand.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry, man. That's rude. But yeah, you're Svi. Come on, do your job.
Hey, I was doing a freestyle battle yesterday.
There you go.
Via
ahead,
text.
Yep.
I'm the lethal weapon. I do not finish second.
With my friend Enes Esmer, who's a television and movie star. You might have seen him in Schitt's Creek. He's a huge Raptors fan. Wow. I don't know how he hosts a show, Roast Battle. I don't know if people heard of this, but like we just started freestyling because he heard me freestyling. So I had some fresh bars.
Oh.
One of them I said, it's starting to get spicy like Pascal every 3 games. Why is Daryl Morey not making a trade, bro? You're not getting 3 games.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, right?
I was going to say, I thought you were
the rest are censored. I can't. Yeah.
No, there's no track underneath that?
I mean, here's the thing, okay? When the Raptors get back to 500, if they get back to 500, the next day's show, we'll tell producer Derek to play a beat. I'll freestyle for 2 minutes for you. You give me a topic and I'll prepare.
Listen, if the Raptors don't deliver on this, I'm going to be so mad at the team. I would be so mad at the team.
Do you know the excitement that's going to build when they're at 18 and 19 and they've got to like get a win over the San Antonio Spurs?
No, I need you. I need to hear you do spoken word over the pound cake beat.
I love how this season's going to be remembered for you just begging for bars after wins, man.
Yeah. Wow. So if they hit 500, slander pods are back on the table, and you're gonna rap.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a slander pod that evening with you and Assad, and then you're gonna come into the studio the next day, and I'm gonna have bars ready.
500 can't be this hard. Raptors, get this done.
Okay, the earliest the Raptors can do this is beat New York tomorrow, beat Sacramento to end the homestand on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and then beat Brooklyn in Brooklyn on Tuesday.
You know what? To be fair, Brooklyn has not looked that good to me. Like,
You know who hasn't looked that good to me? The Raptors of Toronto.
well, I said when I went in the Champagne James Harden matchup, like, come on, man.
Mm.
The Battle of Brooklyn.
Anyways, so I found this really cool video actually from Lindsay Dunn of City News.
Yep.
She recorded a video on YouTube. You can check it out, where she hung out with Nick Nurse during the Raptors' most recent road trip in Memphis. Now, we know Nick is a huge music fan.
Yeah.
So,
But the real term is nerd.
okay.
Not
okay.
even like in
We
a disparaging way.
Okay.
He's just like
trying to bring back bullying. What's going on?
no,
there?
not in like a disparaging way. I think it's cool to be a nerd. He's just really into it. Like, I'm a
Yeah,
basketball nerd.
No,
I'm
he
a
geeks
Raptors
out.
nerd.
He geeks out
Yeah,
over this
he's a
stuff.
geek, exactly,
He geeks
yeah.
out over this stuff. So they went to Nick's favorite record store called Memphis Music,
Okay.
and Nick told Lindsay that he's been going to the store for 9 years now. Ever since he became an assistant in Toronto, every time they've gone to Memphis, he's checked it out. So Lindsay got a bit of backstory about Nick. So Nick told the story about how he's the youngest of 9, and he used to sneak down to the basement to check out his brother's record collection.
Yeah.
And that included Earth, Wind, and Fire, Neil Young, Creedence, Grand Funk Railroad. Can our producer Derek confirm that I said all those right? Because I've only heard of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Creedence Clearwater Revival is the full name. CCR, baby, is what producer Derek just told me in my ear. And so
Oh, wow.
on this trip
Mhm.
in Memphis, he bought records from Prince, Thelonious Monk, and he was asked what his Grail is. And his Grail is an original version of Prince's Black Album, which was never released. Apparently, 3 Warner Brothers execs have a copy of it, and he's trying to track that down. And it was actually to promote the Nick Nurse Foundation as well, where you can find the NN hat. We're bringing that out of suspension because there's nothing else to talk about
Yeah.
when the Raptors are rebuilding. So the 3 pillars of the NN Foundation is literacy, sports, and music. And Nick talked about wanting to get instruments into kids' hands and get them into music and programs and stuff. So I want to play a couple clips here. The first one is Lindsay asking Nick about the size of his record collection.
I can ballpark it's probably about 3,000 or 3,500. I did
Wow.
a lot of little buying here and there, but I did buy a rather sizable jazz collection from a well-known Torontonian, and I thought it was good to get him to a good home, and I kind of snuck in there and got a really big part of my collection came from that.
Do you think Nick has more records or you have more sneakers?
No, Nick definitely has more records. I was actually going to ask you, did you collect anything growing up? Probably not to the size of, Nick's record collection, but were you like collecting stuff? I don't know. Pogs were before your time. I'm
Yeah.
speaking of my time.
So for me,
Tamagotchis.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards were
Yeah.
the number one thing for me to collect.
Yeah, my nephews are so into that.
Which is a little odd because that's like 20 years ago for me when I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh. But I was big into Yu-Gi-Oh.
So you're saying you're getting old?
Definitely.
Okay,
If
good.
you can definitely tell, I'm a very grouchy man already. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh cards was huge. Me and my best friend at the time, who lived in the same apartment as me.
Oh, shout him out, man. Just like when you told Utah to shout out his best friend. Yeah, shout him out, man.
Dravko Marcus.
Okay.
All right, shout out my boy.
There we go.
Hope he's doing well. But yeah, we used to have this like shoebox that we would like pool all our cards in, and yeah, man, it was great. We would play all the time at lunchtime. We would play for money, play for lunch money.
So this was your gambling origin story, is what you're saying?
yeah, of course, man.
Mine started at Fallsview Casino the moment I turned 19.
Yours didn't start at home like most.
By the way,
I'm not gonna talk about this.
Me and Fred need to go to Fallsview together. That's the
We'll
content.
see who's really betting on
Yo,
themselves.
see, one of us walking out with a civilian salary is all I'm saying. What did I collect growing up, man? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think growing up I collected Dragon Ball Z cards, which
Okay.
I
I didn't
recently.
even know there were Dragon Ball Z cards.
Yeah, used to. This was when I was in Hong Kong. You could go to the shopping malls and they would have those things where you put in like $1
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
twist it and the card comes out.
Yeah.
Started like collecting the packs, and it's cool now because my older nephew is 9, and like he's getting into Dragon Ball. So I recently grabbed the binder of cards that I brought with me from Hong Kong
Oh,
here to
wow.
Toronto, and I passed it on to him. It
Are
was
they
a
worth
really
any
huge
money
person.
now?
That's what my sister was asking. I was like, can my nephew just enjoy it? I don't think they're worth that much.
You're right. Actually, you're right. Let kids enjoy things.
But
You
I
don't have to sell
also
everything,
told my nephew, I'm like, don't give these to your friends. Like, I don't want you sharing this.
No wrinkles, no creases, nothing. Keep them in the card case.
Man.
Keep the card cases
keep
in
them
the card deck.
mint condition, 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I collected a lot of NBA jerseys.
Yeah.
I might just.
What's the most obscure jersey you have? By the way, I have a Minnesota Timberwolves Wally Zerbiak jersey.
Mateen Cleaves Detroit Pistons.
I don't even know who that is. All right.
Do you not know Mateen Cleaves, man?
Bro, I came
Michigan
to
State
I
legend.
was in China, man.
I'm gonna start busting out my jerseys, man.
Yeah.
Now that we're on the tube.
Yeah, all right.
Actually, my favorite record store story is I was in Vancouver one time. Actually, I think this is the same trip. Remember?
Deep dish pizza? No, I'm kidding. Keep going. Sorry, I can't.
The time is perfect.
Anytime you tell me about, hey, I was in somewhere, I'm just thinking you were going to talk about deep dish pizza to fill time again.
So I was in Vancouver, and this is the same trip. Remember, I told you I missed Linsanity's Valentine's Day game against the Knicks. And you know who I ran into at the record store?
Who?
Nardwar.
Oh,
So Nardwar was there
cool.
doing a little digging, preparing for his interview. We got a photo, and it was super cool. Like a few years later, I actually got to interview him for GQ.
Nice.
Check out my work. Used to be a great writer.
Now
just radio.
To.
Cover
Please.
story in stores now.
Yeah.
Prehistoric 2023. Anyways, so Lindsay also asked the most important question, at least to me, was she asked Nick to explain this travel guitar that we've seen in photos that Nick brings on the road with him and what songs he's actually working on. So here's another clip.
Yeah, I have them both. I have both. I take a keyboard and I have a little travel guitar. That's what you see over my back. It's pretty cool. It builds into kind of a full-bodied guitar without anything in the middle. It's kind of neat, lightweight. Yeah, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. Wonderful Tonight by Clapton, Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd, John Lee Hooker, Boom Boom. So those on that, and then on piano, I'm doing one of the Arkells new ones. I really love the Arkells new one called A Little More. It's a story about their keyboard player, Tony. I'm working on my 7,000th version of Purple Rain on the piano. I found another little a little obscure recording of before it was like a 1983 recording before it was even out. It was like Prince messing around on the piano singing it, and there was a recording, and then I had somebody at the University of Toronto transcribe the notes for me, so that I'm working on that.
Okay.
The amount of regional references Nick Nurse has worked in there, that's truly impressive, man. This guy,
well, you know the Arkells drop
guy's gotta be
is
collecting-
mandatory.
He's collecting optimum points for sure, man.
But just hearing him talk there, I think it goes back to what you were saying. He was geeking out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like he loves talking about this stuff.
Yeah. And it's super cool, honestly, because people don't know this, but I used to be a huge band geek.
This is what I was going to ask you. Was music a huge part of you growing up?
Yeah, of course. You know, I picked my parents brought me to Longham and Quaid when I was a 10-year-old, and they were like, pick an instrument, you gotta have to play this for life. And I was like, I want to get with the ladies, and all the ladies play flute. So then I was the only male flute player for the very longest time. But I was also quite good, got a lot of solos, not even gonna brag, got a couple Kiwanis trophies.
Wow.
Kiwanis
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah,
that's what you are.
I'm definitely gonna call myself that. That's
geek
awesome.
freak. He's the geek freak. No, so
Yeah, I really was.
I chose the trombone, but I was so terrible. They shifted me to tuba. They were just like, just press these three
you really
buttons.
can't screw up tubas, man.
So
There's
my
three
mom,
buttons and just buzz.
my
Yeah.
mom had to pick me up in like her Lexus. Yeah, good car. And then
I
had to bring
that's a huge instrument.
had to shamefully, bring the tuba home every weekend. Played the piano growing up, didn't really love
Naturally,
it.
it's part of our genetics.
Yeah,
you had to
Asian
pick
parents.
genetics, or you had to pick a piano or violin. So
Hobbies were funny growing up, man. When I immigrated here, my dad wanted to get me into hockey, but he went to the wrong sign-up table at the rink, so I
Yeah.
ended up figure skating for 3 years.
that's all good, man.
No, I love figure skating.
Yeah.
Like I'll skate anyone. I don't know who I'm challenging right now. Kipper. Yeah.
Patrick Chan.
Yeah. I think he went to my high school, by the way.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, anyways, I'm running out of my generic stories. Actually, my favorite thing about that clip was Nick saying he got a University of Toronto student to transcribe all the music notes for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Nick's really about it, And to me, the thing I got to follow up with Nick about is he has a guitar that folds out. He's got like a Transformers guitar. What's going on there?
Yeah,
that's actually kind of incredible.
we
I
need,
didn't know that was a thing.
Another reason to get Nick Nurse on the show.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
pressure. No pressure.
Let's get
MLSC,
Nick
no
on the show.
pressure. Everybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love that segment, by the way. I think it was a great piece by Lindsay.
No, it's
And,
great. Everybody should go check it out. City News on YouTube. Nick Nurse at the record store in Memphis. Super cool clip.
Absolutely. So I think that's a good spot for us to wrap up the show. I'm your host, Will Lou, and you've been listening to The Raptor Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Make sure you find The Raptor Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. As a reminder, we are now streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel Monday to Friday at 2 to 3 p.m. And, of course, you can find all the archives of all the episodes on Sportsnet's YouTube channel. Thanks again to my producer and co-host, Alex Wong, and we will talk to you tomorrow. And finally, a message from our presenting sponsor. Discover the best eats in your neighborhood on DoorDash without leaving your home. So many options to choose from, and ordering is easy. For a limited time, you can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code THEFAN25. Queue up for tip-off. Order today through the DoorDash app or DoorDash.com. DoorDash. Delicious delivery.